I bet you didn't know just how close to death WWII soldiers came, not just from bullets, but from the brutal fight to survive every single day. For those on the front lines, World War II was a constant battle against hunger, freezing cold, sickness and exhaustion, threats just as deadly as the enemy itself. Long before drones, GPS, or, modern survival gear, soldiers were forced to rely on ingenuity. Every day demanded adaptation. Every mistake carried a cost. And the methods they developed under these conditions weren't theoretical. They were proven in mud, snow, jungle heat, and enemy territory. Many of these techniques remain shockingly useful today, not because they're clever, but simply because they work. Strong-smelling and, harsh on the skin, it was lethal to bacteria. Soldiers used it not just to wash, but to clean wounds, sterilize knives, and disinfect water containers. Losing it could mean weeks of sickness. Today, while we have modern disinfectants, the principle remains unchanged. Cleanliness under survival conditions is not about comfort. It is about staying alive. Eating without being seen was, a real challenge. Fire meant warmth, but it also meant danger. Smoke and flame could expose a position instantly. To solve this, soldiers improvised covert cooking systems. One of the simplest involved an empty tin can with small holes punched along the sides and a candle placed inside. The metal trapped heat, shielded the flame from wind, and produced almost no smoke. Water could be warmed, rations heated, and bread toasted without drawing attention. And, interestingly enough, this same method is still used today by bushcrafters and survivalists because it is silent, fuel-efficient, and reliable. Morale as a survival tool. Now, that's something you can't underestimate. Coffee wasn't just caffeine. It was psychological armor. Supplies were limited, so soldiers reused coffee grounds multiple times, stretching them with toasted barley or chicory. The taste was weak, but the effect was powerful. A warm drink during a freezing night restored focus and reminded soldiers of home. Commanders understood that morale was as important as ammunition. Modern survival studies confirm this truth. Mental resilience often determines whether someone survives long-term hardship. Making unsafe water usable was, a constant challenge. Clean water was rarely guaranteed. When purification tablets were unavailable, soldiers used dense bread as a crude filter. Crumbled into cloth, it removed sediment and visible debris from water before boiling. While it didn't eliminate bacteria, it made water safer to treat. In survival situations today, this principle still applies. Filtering water before purification, really does improve safety and efficiency, especially when resources are limited. Everyday items like, cigarettes became battlefield currency. Even non-smokers carried them because, believe it or not, a single cigarette could be traded for food, medical help, or even information. In occupied territory, they could break tension or, sometimes, buy a bit of time. Though unofficial, this practice was widespread. It highlights, I think, a critical survival lesson. Value is situational. What keeps you alive may not look important at first glance. Repairing gear to extend life. Hidden in many uniforms was a sewing kit. A torn coat in winter could mean frostbite. A ripped mosquito net in the jungle could lead to malaria. Soldiers used needles and thread to repair boots, reinforce seams, and even improvise fishing lines. The ability to maintain gear often mattered more than having new equipment. Today, basic repair skills remain one of the most overlooked survival abilities. Fire in impossible conditions. Wet weather made fire starting extremely difficult. Soldiers solved this by soaking cloth strips in engine oil or animal fat and storing them in tins. These fire starters caught sparks easily and burned long enough to ignite damp wood. They were smoky and unpleasant, but effective. In freezing environments, this method could mean the difference between hypothermia and survival. Small fixes that made big differences. When buttons broke, soldiers improvised replacements from bread. Rolled wet, shaped, pierced and dried, these makeshift buttons held uniforms together long enough to matter. It seems trivial, but comfort and order help maintain discipline and morale. Survival isn't always about dramatic solutions. Sometimes it's about preventing small problems from becoming deadly ones. Lessons that still matter. These World War II survival methods were not designed for convenience. They were forged under pressure and tested by necessity. What makes them valuable today is not nostalgia, but relevance. The same ingenuity that kept soldiers alive decades ago can still serve us in disasters, wilderness situations, and emergencies when modern systems fail. If this deep dive into wartime survival helped you see history in a new way, make sure to subscribe to Warcraft Survival and share this video with others who appreciate real, practical history. The past still teaches us how to endure, adapt, and survive, and those lessons are worth preserving.